As one of the leading dairy firms nationwide, Bright Dairy and Food is a part of every Shanghai resident's childhood. The history of its predecessors can be dated back to the beginning of the 20th century. But the Bright brand itself was founded in 1950 under the state-owned Shanghai Milk Company. All production was then controlled by the government to coordinate recovery from decades of war and civil war. That turned out pretty well according to official statistics, which say production in the manufacturing sector by 1952 has risen to 2.5 times that of 1949. The planned economy remained in control for almost 3 decades, when increasing contacts with other countries began to bring with it the beginnings of the economic liberalization.
When China established diplomatic relations with the United States and Japan in the 1970s, the country started opening its gates to the outside world. In 1978, when the reform and opening up policy took effect, the government realized that we had to introduce external resources and to learn advanced experience in how to utilize limited resources.
And that meant more players, private and foreign in particular, entering the market. The government realized that in their original form, the SOEs could not compete with these new forces. So it was decided to enlarge and expand the SOE's autonomy and management authority. What was called the Modern Enterprise System was first launched on a trial basis with 100 SOEs in 1994. 2 years later, this brought Bright Dairy and Food into existence, a joint project between two SOEs, Shanghai Milk Company and the Shanghai Industrial Investment Corporation.
When our company was first established in 1996, we decided to employ nationwide resources and work in a nationwide market. Because we faced a shortage of milk resources, we decided to manufacture our products in the north and the northeast of the country.
Shanghai's Municipal State-Owned Assets Supervision and Administration Commission was established in 1993, the first in China. The commissions were to oversee the proper operation of the state-owned enterprises, and Shanghai's first project was to support the development of the Pudong New District, the planned center of the city's economic growth. In the same year, the CPC's third plenary session of the 14th Central Committee decided on a major and daring move. The plenum transferred more operational rights to the management of state-owned enterprises themselves. That included property rights, administrative powers and responsibilities, and a separation of government from business decisions.
Shanghai put a lot of attention into mixed ownership reform from the very beginning. That's why the Assets Commission first encouraged the companies to start a shareholding system reform, transferring rights from single to multiple owners. Right after that came the issue of how to boost management vitality, and that is why the focus was shifted to the trading of shares. And finally, that trading was open to the public instead of being restricted to companies, when Shanghai began developing the capital market in the 1990s.
This is the model that Bright Dairy followed. 4 years after its establishment, the company set up a shareholding system, becoming a stock-issuing corporation, and 2 years after that, it went public on the Shanghai Stock Exchange. The 2002 listing valued the company at 975 million yuan, around 8 times its initial registered capital. By the year of 2003, the number of manufacturing SOEs in the country had shrunk 87% from 1978, but their output has soared more than 1,500% over the period. In an effort to revitalize productivity, in 2010, Bright Dairy and Food made another bold move, allowing over 100 senior leaders to hold shares. It thus became the first SOE in the city to implement what was called the equity incentive policy, and another important change was coming.
Classifying SOEs into 3 major types was another innovative move from the city's state-owned Assets Supervision and Administration Commission in 2013. Competition SOEs, Infrastructure Construction SOEs, and Public Services SOEs. The first were to be treated normally, as they were charged with making profits and gaining market share. Most consumption goods companies fell into the first category. Neither of the other 2 types was charged with making money.
As of the end of July this year, 75% of Shanghai's SOEs fell into the competitive category. 23% were in the public services sector, and another 7% were in infrastructure construction. Bright Dairy, of course, is one of Shanghai's leading competitors, and the company's latest expansion came just last year when it merged with an ice cream firm.
益民乳业和益民食品一厂都是有着悠久历史的企业。
Both Bright Dairy and Shanghai Yimin No. 1 Foods boast a long history. After the M&A, consumers could get tastier ice cream more easily because of the resulting strong network and quality milk sources.
购买到口感更为丰富的光明冷饮。
China's state assets regulator said last week that 2/3 of centrally owned SOEs have now introduced private capital, adding that the equity incentive scheme will soon be carried out by 10 more central SOEs and 171 locally managed ones. The regulator also said that more than 70% of the SOEs that underwent ownership reform between 2013 and 2018 have posted positive profit growth. Other than just making profits, some of the SOEs have devoted themselves to becoming platforms for the creation of other businesses. The Shanghai Lujiazui Group was set up in 1992 to facilitate the Pudong New District's development, and that's obviously been a success. And looking farther ahead, the Shanghai Lingang Group was formed to attract businesses to the Lingang special area of the Shanghai Pilot Free Trade Zone. These SOEs have been and will continue to be the backstage heroes of other success stories. Bai Xu, ICS for CGTN Shanghai.